powered by Riverside.
Hello, and welcome into the Sad Fan, where we talk about the good, the bad, and everything that made us sad. And football, man, week 2 for the NFL, week 3 for college. It's not letting us down. The games are really good. The games are really sad for some of us. And we always forget that baseball is still going on. And I feel bad for baseball. But luckily, Wes is here to make sure we don't forget about
for once.
About what was once America's pastime.
For once, a Seattle fan can actually care about baseball once Seahawks season starts. In fact, there's probably more people that are paying attention to the Mariners now. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of what made me sad over the weekend. They lost 3 out of 4 to the Angels. Luckily, they won tonight. They crushed the Angels tonight, and thankfully, the Orioles lost too. Because the Orioles made up a game on us over the weekend. But I mean, it could have been worse. I mean, we should be up we should have like a 6 or 7 game cushion right now for the wild card spot.
You just said 3 traditional terrible teams in 1 minute. You just threw out Orioles, Angels, and Mariners all in
I know. Well, I mean, it's a really good thing they expanded the wild card because if they didn't. If they just left it at the 5 teams with that play-in game, the Mariners wouldn't be in the chase after this weekend. But because the MLB finally decided to start getting with the times and realized, oh hey, if we add more teams to the playoffs, we can make more money off of more games. So thankfully we're still in the chase and we're probably going to make the playoffs. But man, it was a long weekend for the Mariners.
Actually,
the rest of the time. We're just playing teams with losing records from here on out. So I think we're good, but Mariners have choked worse.
Go ahead, Chelsea.
I was just going to say, I just realized I had my divisions all messed up in my head because I haven't looked at these in a while. I didn't realize it was my temporary home team on top of the Mariners, the Astros out there. I'm sorry. I'm doing all I can. Every time I see someone in an orange shirt, I'm like, boo.
The Astros.
How are the Astros still good after cheating? That pisses me off.
Just because they did a really good job of what would you call it? The process. They did a great job of just moneyballing it, just losing every game, and they had all kinds of people in their farm system because their fans went through 10 years of terrible games.
So did we, but we tried the Astros route and it didn't work for us.
They drafted
so bad. We had Ackley, we had Smoke, we had Seager, and it's we had a bunch of other great people, and we had Felix Hernandez, Iwakuma, and none of those players panned out. Or, I mean, they did, but Smoke wasn't that great. Dustin Ackley wasn't that great. Seager worked out, but he wasn't an all-star, really.
No, he's a better Dodger than he was a Mariner.
We never got to do anything for Felix. Felix, we wasted him. One of, second greatest pitcher in the Mariners history, second to Randy Johnson, and we wasted him.
Probably second of all time during this era. Before everybody comes at me with people from the 1920s. During this era, probably second only to Kershaw.
Yeah.
I don't know. Justin Verlander's pretty good, I guess.
Yeah.
I almost forgot
throwing
about
it back to the Stros.
Yeah, but he was good on the Tigers too. But I felt bad. And it was funny about Justin Verlander is every time I talk about Justin Verlander, I always think about when he didn't get MVP and his wife, Kate. She comes out and she goes, and I thought I was the only one allowed to fuck Justin Verlander. And I thought that was the funniest quote on record as far as sports were concerned because her man didn't get MVP. So that was funny. But moving it back to football. Sorry, baseball. You had your moment. We talked about you. We gave you a good set of time. But the Raiders made me sad, and we're gonna have a little bit of NFL conversation later on in the show. But literally. With the Raiders at this point, one, I'm not a Derek Carr stan, and most people that know me can speak to that. I will call out a quarterback if he's bad. We talked about Jamarcus Russell. I'm not that Raiders guy. It's our quarterback is our quarterback. No. I just sat through so many Jeff Hostetler years and other quarterback years leading up to Rich Gannon. I got Rich Gannon for 3 to 4 years of really good football, and then he breaks his neck, and then 20 more years of purgatory, of nothing, of no quarterback, okay? So I know what it's like.
Who was it you guys took number 1?
Yeah, Jamarcus Suckle. I'm aware. Russell. Sorry. I'm aware. Okay, like it's not something that I don't have the capacity to accept that a quarterback can be bad, okay? But it's not – Derek Carr's not a bad quarterback. Does he make bad decisions? Yes, but I defy you to find quarterbacks that don't make bad decisions outside of Tom Brady, who also almost threw like 3 interceptions.
I mean, he's probably better than Geno Smith.
He's a top 10 quarterback, and people don't want to accept it. Like, via advanced metrics, Derek Carr, and yardage over the last 10 years. I know it's weird, right? Because you're like, Derek Carr, top 10. But you actually look at metrics, right? You look at analytics. He's a top 10 quarterback. And I'm like, what else do you want? Like, he has the worst offense. People are going back to this Devontae. Oh my god, he did it. Wes did it. He actually got me to talk about it. Anyway,
I want to put him like in the middle of the pack, like around like top 15, like between like 10 and 15.
That's fair. It depends on the week, right? Anyway, that's what made me sad.
Yeah,
I hate
he's
to
definitely lose. He's definitely better than most of your quarterbacks you've had recently.
All. But
you guys blew it. I mean, how many fourth downs did you guys give up on that last drive?
Both were holding calls.
And then you guys fumbled twice.
Wait, both were holding calls on the defense, which both were like,
the refs.
No, I'm not going to blame the refs, but one of the announcers was like, I don't know, they're trained if they see a little grip of jersey. And I'm like, can you just say it's a shitty call just one time? Because you know it was a shitty call. You just watch that replay where he doesn't even grab the jersey. He just kind of like, you see him do this and then let go. And I'm just like, and it was a sack. It was when Murray got sacked. I was like, how did that impact the play? Yeah. But anyway, last thing I'll say on it was lots of people came out and were like, how does Derek Carr miss Davante Adams this wide open? And then they keep zooming past where he almost gets his face clawed off by J.J. Watt as he throws the ball. And I'm like, do you know that J.J. Watt's almost 6'6" and he weighs 300 pounds? Do you think you're going to make the super accurate throw with that man doing this in your face? So it was just fandom at its finest. But yeah, that's what made me sad. And go ahead, Wes.
One of those holding calls, though, you guys should have sacked Kyler Murray. And he pulled some Russell Wilson shit out of his hat.
Yeah, that was irritating to watch, and it was
he did like a little like loopy spin, like just brushed him off, and then like ran around, and he almost made it, and then he got the flag.
Graham's a bad defensive coordinator. I'm going to say it right now. He's got a lot of talent on that defense. Not in the back half. I understand the back half isn't great, but he's got a lot of talent on that line, on that defensive line. And Chandler Jones is nowhere to be found. And honestly, all I think of is the meme with Josh McDaniels as far as how he calls the game super conservatively and how he's just awful lately. And there's a meme that's the Scooby-Doo meme, right? Where they pull the mask off somebody and then it's literally like somebody, like the person you didn't want. It's the exact same person it used to be. So I think Josh McDaniels is like Josh McDaniels' face is like looking at Fred, and then Fred takes off the mask of the ghost, and it's John Gruden under the Josh McDaniels mask because it's like the exact. I'm like, yeah, I've been watching this. This is awful. Like they had a better draft this year, but it's just terrible. But anyway, go ahead.
Who was your guys' who was the interim head coach? Was it Rich Bisaccia or I can't remember his name.
It was like Pistachio. I can't pronounce his name. BIASS.
I remember telling you, I was like, the Raiders should take him because he did a great job. Instead of going with Josh McDaniels, who's already a proven failure.
He was conservative too.
You should have listened to me.
Dude, I'm so done with conservative coaches. Like people are like, oh, all these young guys aren't conservative. I'm like, no, Pete Carroll actually, he goes for things. Like, I don't know if you've been watching Seattle, but if he has a good enough team or like Russell Wilson.
And he is old.
And he's old. He's the oldest coach in the NFL, and that dude goes for – he tries to win games.
So his play style, his coaching style or whatever is like his playbook is like conservative. But like when it comes down to like the calls, he gets aggressive.
Yeah, and he lets his quarterbacks have an input too. Like he does like listen to player feedback, like they call audibles all the time. He has enough trust in his system to let them go ahead and do that. And I think when you see like conservative play calling, to me, what that means across the board in, whether it's college or NFL, is what it is you have a set playbook and you're not going off script. You don't have enough trust in your guys. You don't have enough trust in like the lines around them to back it up. And it just tells me that like, instead of just being like an old school traditionalist, that really you just, you don't have the right guys in place and something needs to give, whether it's the quarterback, which it sounds like in this case, probably not. It sounds like maybe it's some other people that need to change. Maybe it's the coach, maybe it's the playbook, rip it all up, start again.
Yeah. All the plays, offense and defense, I've been super disappointed in, but I think I can talk more about that here as we talk about the NFL, because the NFL has changed so much. But let's go to college really quickly, and what made you sad? Because you wanted to defend or at least clarify your home state, right, Chelsea? At least clarify.
Not defend. Let's be real clear here. I'm not defending any freaking bigots. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like it was a great game. It was a great win for Oregon. Put a lot of confidence, back, in our team, and great, awesome. However, fan behavior, disgusting. But I did want to clarify a couple of things. First of all, Oregon's school schedule, classes are in session next week. School
Chelsea,
hasn't even started.
Really quick, what was the fan behavior so the audience knows what you're talking about? The inexcusable fan behavior was what?
Some cute little chants of F those Mormons.
Thank you. Yeah, I just want to keep the audience in.
Just to be completely clear, it is. I don't even know why you would say that. The BYU fan base is nice. They're clean cut. They are happy to be there. They bring their kids to these games and they travel with them. Do I like their door-to-door salesmanship and it's structure?
Except their quarterback.
Yeah, except their quarterback.
But they're very kind people, and there's just what did they do to you? Come on, Eugene. It is embarrassing to be an alumni of this school and have these local yokels who I can almost guarantee didn't even go to the University of Oregon. They just happen to be right there in town, and this is their whole identity, because there is not much else to do in Eugene if you're not super into the outdoors or running half Ironmans like my brother. It really is a boring place at times. And there's some fun things to get into, like football and meth. And when you combine those two, that's when you have really dumb, ignorant chants like F those Mormons. It is not going to say that, Oregon's fans have always been on their best behavior. We are known for, booing at injuries, things like that. There have been some moments of obscene chants and behavior, stuff like that, to get muted off of ESPN, but this was far beyond the pale. You can say, in my book anyways, F those refs. You can say bullshit to different calls. Attack the refs, because why not? They're easy pickings.
Don't go too
make
far.
Fun of people within reason.
Punched in the face and stuff. You gotta be careful. Don't physically attack the refs.
Okay. I'm just talking about talking about just the chants.
Yeah,
but no, throwing water bottles onto the field at the cheerleaders, harassing the visiting fans in the stands. All of this behavior is not okay. And I know we were kind of talking a couple of weeks ago about, we love football. There's a nationalism to it. We all have our own banner that we unite under. But what I'm really seeing that's really disconcerting, and it's not a new thing, but I feel like it's become an even more aggressive thing, is this tribalism. Teams are becoming people's identities, and it's just, you can still cheers a beer with a person next to you who's a fan of a team that you hate. They're still just a person. And, when you're sitting there booing people who have traveled from another state to come spend much needed tourism and revenue dollars into your town, be gracious.
Yeah.
Be kind.
There was actually a recruit from North Salem. He's a Polynesian recruit. and his family is part of the LDS Church, and he actually left the game at halftime because of the anti-Mormon chants. So good job, guys.
Absolutely. Like it's heartbreaking because it affects the reputation of the university. It affects the things like recruiting, and it is just as bad as like chanting any sort of racial slur. It's just all so ignorant and stupid, and there's just no space for it in college football, and these fans need to be banned from stadiums.
Yeah.
I want to bring my kids to Duck games someday. Don't want to bring them into that kind of environment.
I feel like it's probably like started by like a few people, but then you have like all the drunk people or whatever who's like, oh yeah, that's funny, and like they join in with it, and it just like it's like the tribalism or whatever, like, oh, they're doing it, I'm going to do it, and it just kind of takes over. And then before you know it, you have like several thousand people chanting it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not an excuse, and honestly, I would have hoped that Eugene would have been better than that. Like, Eugene is full of weirdos. Like, I think everybody in my like 7th grade class at one point or another decided they were going to be Wiccan for a week. Like, it just, people are a little like goofy and weird, but usually kind of accepting and just like
Chelsea.
Super.
That's why. It's because the Craft came out that year.
I didn't want to acknowledge that because that would tell you exactly how old I am, but you're not wrong. It was that year.
I knew 2 students, one named Isha Rainbow Light and another one named...
Go ahead, another one named
I had 2 students that I knew. One was Isha Rainbow Light and Trillium Starchild. If you're out there listening, hello.
All right. So anyway, we had some crazy moments, right? And I'm going to cover these really quickly. App State went ahead and won with a Hail Mary against Troy, so they got over their hangover from their big win over a top 6 team. I mean, a Hail Mary like this one, it's not like it went all the way into the end zone and the guy got tipped up and the guy caught the back of the end zone, not like an Aaron Rodgers or a Kyler Murray throws to one of the best receivers in the whole world in DeAndre Hopkins, and he goes up and catches it in the end zone. No, the ball was actually tipped backwards back into the field of play. And a guy caught it and then ran like 5 yards into the end zone, which was wild. Almost intercepted, yeah.
It was nuts. Yeah, it was almost intercepted.
Almost intercepted, caught, and then we had our Florida schools with somebody. And I only want to go like 3 to 4 minutes on this, but they lost their top team in Florida. Miami was the highest ranking team out of Florida, and I think Florida State won again, which is the only team still winning, which I don't trust them. I don't think they're good. But I think, Wes, you were telling me in the production meeting that Mario Cristobal was already known for making conservative play calls in Oregon, and it would really piss Oregon fans off. So this was something that you guys are used to.
There were a bunch of Miami fans on Twitter that weren't happy because he punted down 8 with 3 minutes left. And they're like, what? Like, why are you doing this? And I'm like, yeah, welcome to our last 4 years. Like, he won us a lot of games and he recruited really well, but he also had like really conservative play calling that probably cost us a game or 2. Definitely. You get what you get.
Yeah, and especially after going from, 4th and 4, of course we're going for it. Like, doesn't matter if we're like, at the back at our 20-yard line, we're going for it. Like, why not? We can. To just, nope, no matter what, we're going to punt it away.
Run between the tackles every time.
I feel their pain. And again, on conservative coaches, it is so frustrating because it starts to read like a lack of trust in your athletes.
Lose with some guts, right? Lose with some guts. Like, I would rather lose with some guts going, we did everything we could, than fuck, the play calling was terrible. We were so conservative. We didn't try to win. We just tried not to lose. Like, I would rather go 0-16 going for it every single time than go 7-10 watching my team be boring.
The Seahawks Broncos game when they decided to like kick a 65-yard field goal instead of like going for it on like 4th and 4. Like, come on, dude.
Russell Wilson's showing his tail. He is showing his tail. Like, he was not. He pulled some stuff out at the end of that game that reminded you, but you had to wait 3 quarters to see Russell Wilson do anything. He was bad. They booed him in his home opener. They booed him. But as we
really,
we actually did get an interview with an NFC East super fan who would like to be referred to as our insider. And so we're going to go to that really quick and let you guys see what an NFC East insider or super insider had to say about last week and what he thinks is going to go on this week. And that was prior to all the games. All right, and with us on the Sad Fan, we've got our resident Eagles fan, somebody I've known and introduced me to the Angry Whopper during the playoffs with the Eagles years ago, so I know how passionate this man is. Stefano Angelucci, or Lucci. We're just going to refer to him as Lucci, just so everybody knows.
Referred to as either the NFC East insider or the Eagles super fan. Those are the two things I'll accept.
Okay, all right, but if we refer to you, next time we've got to get on your headrest that picture of you and Zach Ertz together in the tunnel. So, Lucci, La Lucci, NFL insider of the East, your team crushed it last week, and I felt like was the actual surprise of the NFC East. Well, them and the Cowboys just crap in the bed on national television. So, what did you think of the performance? Was that full expectation there?
Yes. It was full expectation on what I thought was going to happen. I was hoping it went a little different. You know, the Eagles they played great. Like I was saying a while back, they played great through the second and the third quarter, right? But the first and the fourth quarter, they looked pretty god-awful against a beat-up, not very good Detroit team. I think Detroit's better than people think they are, but I don't think they're very good. You can't play like that against a team in the first and third quarter and look that bad. But I was hoping to see, my expectation was for Jalen Hurts to come out and have more ability to pass than he did. I mean, the Eagles scored 4 touchdowns all on the ground, 4 different people. He didn't throw one, right? So I was hoping he was going to come out and look a little bit better through the air. He didn't. He looked like the same Jalen Hurts from last year, which all offseason, all we were hearing was he's working on his arm. He's got this newfound ability to throw, which everybody knows isn't a real thing. But the Eagles have done well with rushing quarterbacks in the past. That I think the entire NFL is showing this dynamic shift with guys who can pass. Jalen can pass. He's obviously an NFL caliber quarterback, right? So it's not like he's not good at it. But that's just not his specialty. And I think that hopefully moving forward, Eagles fans in general just learn to fucking accept that, and they all shut up on all these networks about how, we need this guy to pass, we need him to throw. They just won a game where he didn't, and I'll accept that, man. I'll take that. I do think that they looked good. I was just hoping for a different look. I was hoping to see something different. I mean, he's not the only guy on the field, right? Miles Sanders looked good. A.J. Brown looked really good. Miles went for 100 and a touchdown. He didn't score forever last season, right? He had 2 touchdowns last season. So A.J. Brown looked really, really, really good. I think Devonta kind of disappeared a little bit, but that was kind of to be accepted. A.J. Brown casts a big shadow, right? And Devonta's really talented.
Devonta did that last year, too.
You got a guy like that in the field. Mm-hmm. He did. Yeah, he did that last year, too. Yeah. In spurts, he looks really good, and in spurts, he looks bad. I think Dallas Goedert looked really good. I think the offensive line looked okay. So I was okay with the offense. The defense, I was not happy with. I didn't think that they played very, very, very well for the majority of the game. I was expecting more of the front seven, to be honest with you. I think they upgraded that linebacking core in the offseason, and it didn't look like they did.
Probably the best draft DeAndre Swift for defense. But it was probably the best defensive draft in years.
I agree. They finally did it, right? They finally went and got good defensive players. Mm-hmm. They went back to back. I know there was question marks with Nakobe Dean all offseason. Jordan Davis, there was no questions with. He was a monster. And so everyone's like, these guys are going to be great. And I think that they kind of let up a lot of rushing yards that they shouldn't have. DeAndre Swift had a great game, and people are high on him this year. Speaking fantasy-wise, they're high on this guy this year. But I don't think DeAndre Swift is any good. And giving up a game like that to that guy doesn't make me happy.
Yeah, no, I get that. And that push, I'm with you. It is a good offensive line in Detroit. But I do feel like the push that you have with Fletcher Cox and Davis in the middle, it should really stifle anything. There should be nothing going up the middle against the Eagles. It should all be outside runs with those two.
And if you saw, even if you look at Fletcher Cox, if you just physically look at Fletcher Cox, he looks small. He doesn't look big anymore. And it's if you put a side-by-side picture of him last year and this year, you're like, damn, Fletcher lost some weight. I don't know if he's stressed out because he got Jordan Davis next to him now. But he looked small, and he didn't look too great. He didn't look great up front.
Fletcher Cox, you and I had this argument, I want to say like 6 years ago, where you cape up for Fletcher Cox usually. So you saying that it means a lot because you really like Fletcher. You've liked Fletcher for a long time.
Yeah, I want to point out real quick. I'm glad you brought that up. I was going to bring it up later, but we had an argument about Fletcher Cox in which you said he wasn't a top 25 player. So you're very, very, very wrong.
I said 10. I said 10, and I already admitted that I was 10. Wrong.
I'm not listening to that. I said he was a top 10 player up front. You said he wasn't top 25. And then you started going off on a list, naming all the Madden players that you know.
I will say I did text you and say, all right, I was wrong about Fletcher Cox. He's really, really good. He is a
did it for years. He's been doing it for years. I think this year you're going to see that he's getting older. And he's ready to be replaced. It's he's been hitting hard up front for years and years and years. He did his job.
Yeah, he did well. He's going to be a Marcel Darius, a Justin Tuck that just kind of Ndamukong Suh that I think for the last 3 or 4 years of his career he's going to travel and be kind of a mercenary.
Yeah, maybe.
But speaking of that, are you afraid of any of the other winners that came out of the NFC East? Because the only team that lost was Dallas, and I did peg them to lose that game, but just not like that and not losing Dak for almost half. I think they're done. I think Dallas is out of the NFC East. How do you feel?
I actually feel pretty good about it because I'm going to go back to the Dallas thing real quick because that's what everybody's saying, like, oh, Dak's gone. Looks like you guys are going to win now. Dak on the game, they didn't look good, right? I know Green Bay's a good team, but they didn't look good with Dak.
Tampa Bay.
Yeah. My bad. Tampa Bay. Yeah. So, but they were controlling that game, right? They weren't doing well. Dallas wasn't doing well. Next thing you know, Dak goes down, and everyone's like, "Oh, there's the season." The season didn't look like it was that promising to begin with. I mean, the Eagles started off slow, but then they got hot. Dallas didn't get hot the entire game. They didn't. Moving on to the other teams, I think one of the underlying stories of the NFC East, honestly, is Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley is playing on a contract year, right? And this is his chance to get paid. Right now, he's still rocking that rookie contract, right? So he needs to go for 1,210 touchdowns for him to get that big running back contract, because that's what running backs get nowadays. They get that second contract. Their third contract is usually trash, right? Because running backs are a dime a dozen. So in order for him to get that big contract, he's going to have a crazy year. And I think he showed you that he still has the ability to have a crazy year last Sunday. So I think if they put the weight on Saquon's shoulders and Jones just kind of manages the game, I think the Giants' offense is actually going to put up some points this year. I think that their defense is trash, so I'm not scared of them. Yeah. Washington, we seen the Carson Wentz story, right? Carson Wentz shows up. I would say 40% of the season he's going to play lights out like a Hall of Fame level caliber quarterback, and 60% of the season he's going to be god awful, right? And
that 60% is usually the last 5 minutes of the game, right?
For sure. And if you look historically, you look back, those kinds of guys they're surrounded by good casts. You need a good rushing attack, which Antonio Gibson's good, right? You need a good defense. That front seven of Washington's good. So you need those two things with a quarterback like Carson Wentz to make some noise. The problem with that is those guys are the guys that always come in second. If you look back the last 15, 20 years in the Super Bowl, runners up, the second place team,
runner up,
the second place team, the second place team is always, or has a lot of the times, is that guy who's not that good leading the charge that has a good defense and a good rushing attack, right? There's very few examples of quarterbacks like him actually going the distance. You can look at the prime example is always Trent Dilfer, right? Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl with a really good team, but he stinks. That's kind of what you're going to have to see. You're going to have to see an amazing run from him. He's going to have to get hot late, and I don't think that he's going to do it. I think that he's shown you who he is already, and he's not that guy.
Yeah.
So I think the Eagles have the best chance to win this division that they've had for the last couple of years. I think they're probably going to run away with it when it comes down to it at the end. I don't think any of those other teams are going to have winning records, to be honest with you. I think 10 wins gets you into the playoffs in the NFC East. I'm not proud of that, but I think that that's true. I think the Eagles are a 10-11 win team this year. I think they're going to get to the playoffs. And then once you get in the playoffs, anything can happen. You start making some noise, you get hot at the right time, you get a couple lucky calls, and next thing you know, you're back in the bowl. So we'll see what happens.
You get the dog masks.
Right now, you ask me to – yeah. If you ask me to put my next year's salary on the Eagles winning the Super Bowl this year, I wouldn't do it. But if you asked me to put my next year's salary on the Eagles win the NFC East, I would do it every day. So I think they have a good chance.
Yeah, and
I don't think
I agree.
I don't think any of these other teams are scary. I don't think they're scary. I don't think that Dallas is a nightmare right now. They're releasing reports of them talking about Colin Kaepernick, right? Which I don't think is a real thing. But I mean, like, if they pulled the dude off the couch that hasn't played football in 7 years, I would love it. I would love it. I don't care who it is. Pull some guy off the couch and put him as your starting quarterback. Cooper Rush is playing right now, right? He stinks. So I think Dallas you can completely wash them. And again, I think even if they had Dak, I think they stink. I don't think that they're very good. And I don't think those other two teams have anything. The only story that comes out of the NFC East, except for the Eagles, is Saquon Barkley on that contract year. That's going to be something to watch. That's going to be something to watch all year. I think he's going – you've seen teams like that happen before. You saw Derrick Henry carry the Titans, right? They had a good enough quarterback in Tannehill, but Derrick Henry carried that team. You've seen Adrian Peterson carry back-to-back Minnesota Vikings teams, right, with no one else on that field except for him. He's going for 2,100 yards and taking them to the playoffs, right? So you've seen running backs that needed to have a good year have a really good year. Actually, we saw that with Chris Johnson, too, in his rookie. See, Tennessee gets carried a lot. Eddie George carried them, too. Damn.
Yeah. Chris had 4 good years. That also shows me, though, that Jeff Fisher was not a good and is not a good coach because he ran like 4 generational backs like right into the dirt, like ruined their career.
Yeah, that literally just snapped in my head as I was saying it. I was like, damn, Tennessee. Anyway, I'll get back to it. But you've seen those running backs have those seasons and carry those teams in spite of the rest of their team, which he's going to have to do, unfortunately. I think Daniel Jones is like a nice enough guy, but like I let him date my sister, but I don't want him to be my quarterback. Yeah, I don't want him to be my quarterback. I think he's a stand-in filler. He's the poor man's Alex Smith. He's a game manager to the T, and he needs
Daniel Jones he's the physical embodiment of somebody I picture went to Duke. Like, I look at Daniel Jones and I'm like, yeah, that guy went to Duke.
Yeah. If you have to draw him, that's what he looks like, right? For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't think he's scary. But I think watching the Eagles this year, you're going to see them take over the NFC East. And it's going to be like that for the next couple of years, just looking at rosters and cap space and what people have available. It's going to be like that for the next couple of years. The Eagles are young. If Jalen makes some noise this year, if he gets a playoff win, he's going to be back. I don't think that he
was he third? He's third round, right? You drafted him third round?
Jalen? Yeah, Jalen.
Jalen.
No, Jalen came at the end of the second, right?
Okay, if it was second, then his contract. Then you got him for 2 more years, right? Because this is his third year.
Yeah, this is his third.
Okay,
year.
so I was thinking if he was third year. Yeah, but I was thinking if you got him third year, then his contract would be coming up this year. You'd have to start negotiating, or third round, pardon me. You'd have to start negotiating it this year. But if you got him at the end of the second, I believe it's a 4-year with the option. Yeah,
they're going to look to negotiate him at the end of probably during next year. Either way, I think if he gets a playoff win, I think he's still going to. They're not going to look for another quarterback. I think if he doesn't get a playoff win, they're going to look for another quarterback. But even if they do, if you look around the league and you plug starting caliber quarterbacks into this Eagles offense, I still think they win the NFC East. Their team is good. We have a good roster right now, and especially in comparison with the rest of the NFC East. I think the rest of the NFC East stinks, and we'll see what they can do. They can make some noise. They get a home playoff game and get a win. Anything can happen.
I totally agree with you, and I appreciate you jumping in here to talk to us about it. Hopefully I can have you on again maybe next week before the games, just so everybody knows we're not doing predictions for today because, one, I'm superstitious. I'm sure Lucci's played as many sports as me and doesn't want to throw out a prediction. If you can if you want to, but I don't want to put you in a bad spot on Sunday.
Now, the only prediction I got is that irregardless of who plays them, because we got the Vikings this week, right? Irregardless of who plays them, or regardless, whatever. I always say that word wrong too. That one, I got to learn that word, and I got to learn, what did we say? Runners-ups. Anyway, irregardless of who plays those guys.
I know you meant regardless of who plays the Eagles.
Regardless. Justin Jefferson's going for $150 and 2 touchdowns. It doesn't matter who plays them. So that's the story for the Eagles this week is Justin Jefferson. And I think aside from that, they're probably going to run away with this one too.
I look forward to that game because Slay on Jefferson will be fun to watch at a minimum, even though Jefferson is a stud. And again, Anything you want to promote before we let you go? Do you have a Twitter handle, an Instagram handle you want to give out? So maybe fans or subscribers, people that watch, can follow?
No, I'm not a big social media presence guy yet. I mean, apparently I'll probably blow up after this if you can see my interview skills, but maybe I'll have to make a fan account for you guys. But I don't want to promote anything except for back to the Philadelphia Eagles win the Super Bowl championship. I think they're on their way again this year.
All right. I appreciate it, Luch. Thanks so much. We will see you next week.
All right, brother. I love you.
So, Wes, when it comes to the NFC East, Lucci had a lot to say about how the Eagles are going to be great, but he actually agreed with you in that might be the worst division because none of the other teams look good. And that's what you said. And I was like, what are you talking about? It's the AFC South, right? So do you still feel the way you felt at the beginning of the season, that the NFC East is the worst division? You were helped out by Dak getting hurt. I mean, that helped.
Giants,
they still won.
Giants are impressing me. They're 2-0. Granted, none of the wins have looked strong, but I mean, 2-0 is still 2-0 right now. I mean, and the Cowboys aren't looking very good.
They won.
Yeah, I still think they're the worst team. I mean, they got the Commanders. Commanders suck. I don't know. We'll see how the Eagles do later, but
I'm still just going to call them Washington Football Team because, I mean, that was the greatest sub-in name ever. Just
it really
generic
was.
food product.
Kept it there.
People got so used to it. People got so used to it. But in things that suck, things that suck, I think it sucks that we didn't get to see Tom Brady throw down against Marshawn Lattimore, even though Mike Evans ran out onto the field and defended his man. He defended his man. Again,
quarterback. It's Tom Brady. What do you want me to do?
What do you want me to do? But I love it because all these memes come out. Like, we've got the crying Terrell Owens meme. That's my quarterback. That's my quarterback in there. And then you've got the other meme that was like, I wish my man defended me like Mike Evans defends Tom Brady.
I mean, you're kind of lucky because the only thing I saw was just different versions of dicks shaped like bicycles with people riding it. Just disgusting things like that. You must get a much more PG version of Twitter than I do because mine was gross. They're all of yesterday, just disgusting.
I mean, it was wild because it was actually a brawl. I was surprised that only Mike Evans got suspended. Because there were a lot of fists being thrown, which I've never gotten. I played football all the way up through my freshman year in college, and I've never getting into a fist fight and punching a helmet. I've played since I was 8, and I've never.
So stupid.
Yeah.
At least hockey players are smart enough to take off their helmets.
Wow! Throw the gloves down first, and then square up.
Hold on, Chelsea. Like brother, like sister, because both of you said it's like hockey player, and or Wes said hockey players are smart, and she said something like, "Why don't they listen to hockey?" And you both did it the exact same time.
We're related. We're related.
The hockey players have experience, okay? Because they learned to fight in high school. I'm pretty sure high school hockey, one of the first things that your coach teaches you how to do is how to throw down.
Pretty sure they start that in toddler hockey. Yeah. They're just meh. No.
I wish I could do a Canadian
throw your gloves off. I mean, that's why they're so
do a Canadian accent. So I can.
That's why they're not tight. That's why the gloves aren't tight. You can just drop them. You can just throw your hands down and they come off, and you're just ready to throw.
You ready to fight? Oh, all right, here we go. Let your mom.
Let's fight, Well, sorry, bud. Did I catch you a little sharp with that elbow?
You're good.
Not even gonna try the accent.
Well, like Chelsea said, if you could do it to the refs, we could do it to our neighbors to the north.
Yeah. It's funny how we consider Canadians to be super nice, but literally the sport that's invented by Canadians, they fight the most.
That's how they work it out on the ice. They work it out on the ice, and then the rest of the week they're good.
They have beer afterwards. Yeah.
Have some of that Molson.
So really quick before we get to our closing topics on this show, we had Jimmy G come in, which Wes, you called. You said Jimmy G is going to come back in for the 49ers, and you were mad that the Seahawks didn't trade for him.
I thought it was going to be. I thought that Jimmy G was going to come in I thought Trey Lance is going to get benched. I mean, it's sad to see him go out with an injury, but I mean, I figured after a few games, Jimmy Garoppolo would be the starting quarterback, and he is, and I think he's going to do good enough. I mean, I wish we would have gotten him. I still think he's better than Geno Smith, even though Geno Smith is better than I thought. But I mean, I still think Jimmy Garoppolo is better than Geno Smith. So
every fan base wants to hear. I think
it's kind of sad we couldn't get him. I mean, hey, good enough right now is all I want. Like, I just want someone who can actually win us 8-9 games.
It's early in the season,
Go ahead,
man.
Chelsea.
You never know how things are gonna shake out. That's what always kills me too. Is everyone, before all the holidays start, everyone's got nothing better to do than just sit there and scrutinize every detail in a game. Get to week 6, 7, and they're like, it's fine, or just absolutely hate the team because they're dumpster fire. But week 2, it's too early to shake this out.
Coaches are being fired
guys
all over.
Time. They're adjusting to new schemas.
Coaches are being fired.
Bye.
I mean, to be fair, Nebraska lost to Georgia Southern. They lost to the Clay Helton coach Georgia Southern. Scott Frost, I really like him for the time he was at Oregon. I think he did good as a receivers coach, but he is not a good head coach for Nebraska, and he is on his way out. There is no saving him. I'm sorry.
No, he's gone.
They got rid of Bo Pelini, who was winning 9 games a year.
He got fired. He was fired, Wes.
Scott Frost was?
Yeah. Yeah.
Was that today?
Yep.
We do a sports.
Oh.
No, it was last week, right after the game.
It's okay. Go ahead and look it up. But
their new head coach made his debut this weekend, and he's still.
Yeah, Arizona State fired their coach.
Herm Edwards got fired?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Herm Edwards is out at Arizona State.
That one I didn't know. I knew Scott Frost was fired. We do a sports show, guys. Anyway, so
I need to pay some more attention. I've been so busy training for this triathlon, I haven't even noticed. But it's over now. I can pay more attention.
So Scott Frost leads us seamlessly into head coaches that make dumb decisions. And one of the things that made me happy was seeing Doc Rivers' account get hacked and everybody take it insanely serious. After 30 years of using Twitter from Doc Rivers, all of a sudden he decided that day was going to be the day. We found out he liked we'll just keep it PG and say big old booties and then maybe some effeminate men, which there's nothing wrong with. But he is a married man, so it was odd to see on his Twitter.
Yeah.
You guys got to read the story this morning. Go ahead, Chelsea. It was embarrassing.
Oh, I was just going to say, it's just embarrassing to look at. Just the number of Twitter users that instantly screen cap everything and are just immediately just tweeting out the screen caps. And those, they never go away. Ever. Yeah. And it's just...
That's why you make screen caps, because it sticks around, because that he's going to delete that as soon as he sees it. So
the thing is at this point, you just have to delete your Twitter. Just delete your Twitter and never step back onto the platform ever again. Because the second you do, the spam bots are just going to just plaster you with screen caps.
Yep. So Doc
nice
Rivers was able
Doc.
to, the 76ers and Doc Rivers were able to come out and they were able to clear it up and say his account got hacked. But one thing that wasn't hacked was the WNBA championship. So hats off to the Las Vegas Aces. I am a fan by proxy. I started rooting for them the moment that Mark Davis bought that team. They've done nothing but make it to the playoffs and be great. And they finally closed the deal this year. What'd you guys think of that? It happened during NFL Sunday, right?
It did, which was poor timing. But I thought it was amazing because Becky Hammon was a player, first coach to win who had previously been a player, but also a woman who was told to basically just either accept her position where she was within the NBA structure or go elsewhere to the WNBA, because she was basically told, there's no promotion available for you. There's never going to be one. It's not your time. And I think many women in different professions have heard it is not your time and just get surpassed by some rookie out of left field. It happens all the time and it is very frustrating. So it was beautiful to see her go to the WNBA, do her thing, one season, amazing and makes the Blazers look stupid for not hiring her.
She won the championship,
teams, but particularly.
I mean,
Blazers. She did. Good for her.
I always say, like, yes, absolutely, everything Chelsea said was 100% correct. And I always say, look for the blessing in disguise here. If you didn't get what you wanted, look for the blessing in disguise. And it's kind of like you maybe are now on a better path because she's got a ring. You know who doesn't have a ring? The Trailblazers. Yeah. So she went out there. She did the damn thing. Kelsey Plum did the damn thing. A'ja Wilson, Depoy, MVP. She did the thing. And they came home with the championship in 4. So, and it should have been in 3, but the Sun put up such a great fight at home that the Vegas Aces had to close it out. But they closed it out. They won the championship. They got to party. We got to hear from A'ja Wilson 6 bottles deep. And now we want to hear from you at however many bottles deep you are. Exactly, going to Vegas and party. So, fans, however many bottles deep you are tonight, it is Monday night post NFL games. And it is Tuesday morning for me. We want to hear from you. So talk to us on our YouTube channel at the Sad Fan Media Group and Sad Fan, all one word. You can get to me at The Sad Fan, or you can get to us on Twitter at The Sad Fan Pod. Wes, they can't get to you. Chelsea, they can't get to you, and that's okay because I will relay all comments to them based on our YouTube comments, based on our Twitter comments and our Twitter feedback. And I promise you they will answer your questions on the show. If you criticize us, we're going to find all the things in your profile to criticize you for. I'm just kidding. We're not as shallow as you. But thank you guys so much.
We're going to make this into a war.
That's another one. And we appreciate you. And we'll see you back next week, Sad fans.
See you.